So if you really are if are really determined to be a freelancer, you need to make that first failure or win, whatever happens with your first client, doesn't matter. You just have to make that happen first.
Hey guys, Delicia Ivins here, and today I'm here on behalf of Mike Shreeve and the No Pants Project, and I have the awesome pleasure of interviewing Jerrod Harlan. Jerrod has been in the No Pants group for a while now, and he's currently studying sales copy and copywriting. So Jerrod, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so excited. And tell me, where are you joining us from?
The lovely Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Nice and gloomy today.
I think it's kind of gloomy along the East Coast. I don't know what's going on, but it is gray and rainy outside my window right now, which is why I'm wearing this wonderful jacket and I'm still freezing. So, Jerrod, tell me a little bit about your superpower. What is it that you do for your clients?
So I actually started out with the intention to help fitness info publishers turn their email subscribers into buyers, basically be an email copywriter. But as things progressed, it drastically changed course, and I ended up taking a staff writing position. So now I work in the BizOp niche, writing front-end promos, sales letters for base pay plus royalties.
Wow, that is a big switch up. That's awesome. How are you enjoying that? Like, how are you enjoying freelancing?
I really love it. So besides being the staff writer, I still do take on outside projects as well. The fact that I have the autonomy with the company that I'm with so that I can do things like this, or go to doctor's appointments throughout the day or whatever. I just have that autonomy to control my schedule. So even though I am a staff writer, I still consider myself freelance with that position, because ultimately I control my schedule. And on the outside of that and taking on freelance projects, I love doing it. That's the reason I didn't stop taking on outside projects after taking on this role.
That's awesome. And yeah, I can see how even continuing to take on outside projects is going to just give you more room for growth and, more ways to expand. So with regards to growth, tell me a little bit about your goals. Like, what kind of goals do you have with freelancing?
So I actually have a pretty lofty goal, which is to be an A-list copywriter. And that kind of sounds like ridiculous to a lot of people who are in copywriting. But it was the thing that immediately drew me into copywriting and the copywriting world. And as many times as I try and convince myself that all I want to do is just make a good living, there is kind of that desire for prestige in it and being one of those names that people recognize. But for now, I just want to continue writing every day and getting a little better, because ultimately that's the path to get to be an A-lister.
Right? Yeah, that burning desire is a little hard to quench sometimes.
Yes.
So what were you doing before you started the No Pants Project? Tell me a little bit about life before No Pants.
So I've been in customer service and sales my whole working career. I started in fast food back when I was in high school, and throughout the 1 year that I went to school before I dropped out. Then I got into personal training because I got into health and fitness. But what I realized was that I sucked at selling. I was not good at selling. I could take these people because I could communicate with them, and I knew how to make friends, and I knew how to talk to people. I could take them and turn them into like raving fans, but I had a really hard time selling them. So I ended up just taking a shot at it, and I went into car sales. based on somebody who recommended me going into it. And that quickly changed my ability with sales and learning how to actually sell and not just talk and communicate with people. From there, I ended up purchasing and running my own printing franchise, and randomly stumbled upon The Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy one day, which made me fall in love with copywriting. And after a few months of studying and doing some sample work for non-existent customers, I went out and tried to get some small work, and I built up a little bit of savings so that I could actually walk away from the business, sell it, and went full-time freelance.
Oh, wow. So when did that happen? What month, what year did you decide to go full time?
I sold the store mid-July. Yeah, July 15th was my last day. And I actually owned the store out in Chicago, Illinois. Sold the store, had the last day, immediately drove back to Pittsburgh, so we moved home. Me and my wife moved from Chicago, where we were living for a few years while I operated the store, moving back to Pittsburgh. And there's a big reason for that. My wife is pregnant, and she is due January 20th. So we wanted to be home for when our child is born.
That's pretty smart. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to keep up on those grandparent free babysitting opportunities as much as you can.
Absolutely.
So you sold the store July of this year, so it's been less than 4 months. Is that right?
And I actually just started taking on copywriting clients back in May.
Wow. What a ride.
It's been a pretty whirlwind few months.
That's awesome. So when you started the No Pants Project, did you already have an idea of had you already read the book by Dan Henry? Had you already done that, or did you stumble across that book while you were in No Pants Project?
No, I didn't end up in No Pants until it was August, I believe, early August. I got into No Pants. And what happened was I had a few months of savings thanks to copywriting that I took and used to be able to, pay rent and live and eat. But I was quickly kind of watching my savings vanish, and it made me realize I didn't know enough about the actual client getting side of things. So that's what drew me into the No Pants coaching program.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. I think a lot of people can. I mean, I think it's been fun interviewing, awesome students from the No Pants Project, and even seeing kind of this thread of okay, I had a little bit of a savings and then I launched, or I had this job and then I launched, and we kind of did the same thing. We had a little bit and then we launched, and it's been crazy. But it's good to have that there, to have that kind of buffer when you first start getting clients and stuff. So it's very smart that you guys did that. And now you've got baby on the way, so that's even more exciting.
Yeah, well, the way that I looked at it was, if there was gonna ever be an opportunity to do it, it was now, or then, because I certainly did not want to take the risk once my child is born, just being oh, I need to follow my dreams and my passions now. Sorry, working wife. Sorry, kid. I'm going to make us broke because I want to follow my dreams. It was that point, or years from now.
Right. No, most definitely. Now, so when you came into No Pants, you didn't know then that you wanted to be a sales copywriter? That kind of came along later, or was that kind of you went in knowing this is what I wanted to do?
I knew that that's what I wanted to do, but what drew me to it was the expertise statement and the learning how to hone on your niche and on what you wanted to specialize in, because it can be very scary being a copywriter and seeing that there are a million of them on Upwork, or there are a million of them on Facebook. So the idea of niching, the idea of finding that group of clients that I would best be able to serve is what intrigued me and what ultimately pulled me into the program.
That's awesome. Yeah. And very smart of you to, and you mentioned it right there, to niche down, because you don't want to be competing against everyone on Upwork. You don't want to, commoditize your services, especially when you can deliver such value. So you're pretty confident now in your skill set, but what was your confidence like kind of going into the No Pants program?
So the imposter syndrome is real for everybody. But I find that no matter what level copywriter you're at, you still are plagued by the imposter syndrome. So as far as me being so confident of my skills, that's a constant uphill battle of feeling like I'm worthy to be making money from what I do. But you keep, you just remind yourself like, hey, look, I've gotten these results. I've been able to do this. No matter who's helped me along the way, I've accomplished this and I've worked at it. My confidence going in was very low, actually, and it took a lot of pushing from my wife to actually take action. She's always been a very big supporter of me, which how could you ask for anything more? And she's the one who, even on the worst days when I'm like, what, before I had this guaranteed money and before I had what I have right now, thanks to Mike Shreeve, there were some very dark days, right? Like I'm seeing my savings vanish. I'm seeing rent come out to the tune of $1,400 a month. And because, we moved back and we had to have a luxury apartment, that's got a pool and a gym and all these other amenities. And it was just kind of that old school mentality of, look, if you have to pay for it, you're going to figure out a way to pay for it. But there were definitely days where I was paralyzed, just sitting on the couch, like, what the heck do I do? This is not going the way that I thought it was. So, but she's always been the one that's like, I knew it was going to work out. I knew it because I know you and I know, what you can do. So I've been very thankful to have her because I probably wouldn't have taken the chance if it weren't for her.
That's awesome. That's definitely really cool. And I think you mentioned something really great there, that when you're starting freelancing, whether it's copywriting or pay-per-click or, whatever your skill set is, whatever it is that you're offering, it is so important to have people to support you and people who back you. And whether that be in like a Facebook community group or even just personal people in your life, that's really important to kind of have that support system in place. So I'm super glad that your wife was able to be, one of those key people for you. You're really blessed to have people like that in your life. That's awesome.
Yes, I agree. I very much agree. In fact, we just, October 21st, we celebrated 8 years of being together and 3 years of marriage.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Aww.
We started dating right after I finished high school.
That's so cute. Aww. You're giving me all the cutesies. I love it. All right. So tell me a little bit about what life looks like now. I mean, obviously you're paying rent, and you have this nice luxury apartment and everything's all wonderful and roses now. How's that working out for you?
Well, I definitely make enough to get by, which is very good. I'm very minimalistic too, so I don't have a lot of expenses. And that was one of the big things about, renting the luxury apartment was, look, I don't really have a lot of expenses outside of like cell phone, food, cars. So we can do it, right? Like I had enough saved to take the risk of getting the nice apartment. But what happened was I basically now I work from home. I know that I'll get to be around when my kid is born, and that was the biggest thing to me. Honestly, that was the biggest of me taking this opportunity, taking the risk to do this, because I didn't want to be one of those parents who, their kid is born and 3 days later they're at their job. That's not what I wanted. And that's, fortunately that's not what I have to do now. So now I get to be stay at home. I get to be the parent, taking care of them. My wife still works because she works for Costco and has unbelievable benefits. So they basically trap her there. She can't leave because the benefits are too unreal. But I get to be that stay-at-home parent, and honestly, that's something that it's something that I love that I look forward to.
Oh, that's really cool. I remember we have two. They're 7 and 3 now. And I remember with both of them, because it was before I started freelancing, that my husband got to take, with my first one, he got to take a week off, which was awesome. And then with the second was like 3 or 4 days. And I just remember being at home with the baby, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I would have loved to have somebody else there because I was terrified. So that's super awesome.
Yeah, and thanks to her job, she'll have 3 months off. So we'll have 3 solid months where we're both home with the baby every day.
There you go. No, that's great. That's basically the 4th term. They tell you that, a pregnancy has 3 terms, but really there's 4. And it's about the 4th term when the baby actually starts sleeping. So, you'll get to go back to work, or she'll get to go back to work right about the time when the baby starts sleeping a little better. So that'll be really awesome for you guys. I'm so excited for you. I think I might send you some melatonin in the mail though. So how are things going with the business now? You're obviously getting by. Tell me a little bit about the numbers and the results that you've gotten, since starting the No Pants project.
When I started, I was at effectively 0 per month income. I had the savings, obviously, but when I joined, I had no current clients. So I went truly from $0 in August to now I have a secure $50,000 a year plus royalties. So it's whatever, I've only been with my company for just about a month now, and I'm just about to have my first promo go live this next week. So obviously I haven't brought in any royalties yet, but it's nice to have that solid base and then see where the royalties go.
Okay, now for some of us who are not as familiar with copywriting, explain royalties and how they're structured. Like what could that potentially lead to for you once this kind of goes live?
So my base pay covers the work that I put in to write the promo, do any other side projects that they need done, write emails, things like that, banner ads. And then how royalties work is that when my promo goes live and people end up on the sales letter reading it, every time that they buy, I get a percentage of that. So what that means is I put in the work once to write the letter, and then if it converts well, I make money on every single person that buys for as long as that offer runs. It is truly, it's truly the dream scenario for a copywriter to have royalties, because you're leveraging that one-time amount of work for wealth, potentially, months, years into the future, as long as it actually converts.
Wow. So you basically, as long as that offer is available, you've got a passive income stream, and you've done that in just a few months since joining No Pants. Like you've already started, your regular income stream plus earning passive.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
That's one of the big reasons that I took the job as well. Not only like the secure paycheck, but the fact that I get to make money, on royalties. And in that passive state, I think that was the tipping factor for me. Because even before I took the position, I had a couple clients, total freelance clients. So when that position came around and the offer presented itself, it was, okay, I still have kind of this autonomy of my time, but do I really want to be saddled for a specific amount of time every week to a company and a paycheck? Well, the royalties were definitely that tipping point that said, yes, I do.
Sign me up here. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, no, definitely. Why would you say no to that? That sounds like a golden offer, for real. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like I should tell the editing team to insert like one of those head exploding visualizations right here. It's a really good place for one, guys. So that's an amazing adventure. Like, you have moved, you've started this new business, you sold this other business, and now you're even, setting yourself up for passive income streams in like under 4-ish months. So that is an incredible, wave to ride. But there are, it had to not all be ups. Like, were there times where it was a struggle, where things were down, where you were just kind of like on the couch going, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
There were definitely those days in the beginning where I was paralyzed by that, crippling fear of, what the heck did I just do? I have no clients, and I'm, spending my money that I have saved. But when things started picking up, I obviously rolled with it. And since then, I'd say the only struggles that I've had are getting the processes in order, right? Structuring my time most effectively with all these different projects going on that I have, while not working 24 hours a day. And there's definitely a point, coming back to the imposter syndrome, there's definitely a point where you hit this high level of riding this wave, right? It just seems like great thing after great thing is happening, and you reach this new level and you look around and you're like, what? What do I do? Did I really do anything to deserve this? Like, to deserve this new level that I've hit? But I read a really interesting email, and I don't remember who it was from, but it really kind of shifted my perspective on the whole high versus low thing. And the email subject line was, what if the other shoe never drops? Right? Because I think as humans, we grow up and we're taught that you'll have these highs and then you'll have these lows, and enjoy while everything is going right, because you'll eventually come off on the other side and everything will be crap. But ultimately, as humans, we only take like what we experience is in our mind. You can decide to feel sorry for yourself and feel like the world is conspiring against you if all of a sudden all my clients left me and I was left with $0 tomorrow. But if you don't take it that way, and you instead take whatever happens as just the chance to restart or move on or do whatever you need to do necessary, then that other shoe doesn't have to drop. Right? So even that feeling of, oh, I don't know what to do now, right? I've reached this new level and I don't know how to operate in this new level that I've hit. That could, to some people, that could paralyze them. That could be a low to them if they take it that way. But if they self-sabotage, right? They hit a new level and they self-sabotage, and they don't increase their skill set, or they don't increase their value, and they end up losing what they've earned. So I think a lot of the lows that we experience are just self-made. And I know anybody listening to this that may be in one of those lulls may think, oh, well, who are you to say that? But honestly, I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. Everybody has. But if you don't work on that mindset shift in order to make the lows not happen or not happen as severely, then you're just going to keep harming yourself. I don't know. I feel like that was a long tangent from that one question, but I feel like it's necessary to say.
That's really good. That's really good. In fact, I don't know, you're kind of speaking to me today. It's okay. I kind of had this whole like really big morning, and like before the interview, I was kind of like, it all kind of hit at one time, and I was in a little bit of overwhelm this morning, and it was like tearing up, like because of happy, good things that are coming that I can see coming. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, whoa, what do I do with this? Like you hit this space where when you're pushing yourself and you do, get to that point where you kind of level up, like you were saying, and it just kind of hits, and it's almost like emotional overwhelm. And you're just like, I need to sit down, I need to take a minute and just calm down and process and, figure out how I'm going to serve these next clients at this level and continue to push and to advance myself. And so I really like that idea, like, what if the other shoe never drops? Like, what if the bad thing never happens? What if, it's all just a mindset game, and you just, figure out how to make it work. That's really cool. Super insightful, good stuff.
Thank you. The first person that I obviously tell whenever good news happens is my wife. But the second person I tell is my mom. Because my mom has always been that supporter, as well. She's always been reassuring me, as all good moms do, right? As all good parents do. And I feel like I was on the phone with her like every day. Like, all right, Mom, I got to tell you this now too.
Yep. Yeah. And it's so cool too, because, for freelancing, like for some people, it's really hard because they like you and like me, like I've been blessed to have really supportive parents. But for some people, in their journey, like that's not been their story. And so when they take off and decide to go freelancing, and they decide to start their own business, there's that skepticism. There's like, oh, can you do it? And so you have to battle through that kind of self-doubt and fear and come into your own. And then it's so much more of a victory when you get to make that phone call and be like, I did it. Like, I got it. So I know you said shifting your mindset to where you kind of like nominalize the highs and the low points, but you've got some high points coming up, like January, right?
Yes.
That's baby 30.
I'm very excited for that. That is on my mind at all points. I can't even express my just happiness behind that.
It's going to be awesome, man. I can tell you, just slightly off topic, but this one really great person told me one time when I was pregnant with my first, and he said, as much as you love your husband now, he's like, when you see that kid, it's going to blow that away. And I was like, no way will that happen. Oh, it's so crazy how instantly, like how much you love this tiny person the minute you see him. It's amazing. So I'm so excited for you for that feeling. And how that emotion and tapping into that is going to like supercharge your copy, because being able to channel that, it's going to be flipping awesome for you too. So that's really cool. You get to have that experience.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about kind of your future now and where things are going?
Incredibly optimistic, right? Especially with the getting that mindset shift, right? And yes, like nobody's perfect at it. I still have to remind myself that whatever happens is just how I perceive it and what I make of it. And if, anything quote unquote bad happens, it's just about how I respond to it and how I progress after it happens. I obviously still have a long way to reach my goal of being an A-list copywriter, a long, long way. In fact, probably 5 to 7 years, which is from other copywriters that I've talked to, that seems to be the consensus amount of time, that if that is the path that you want, expect it to take that amount of time. So, could I reach it in 4 years? Maybe, with the way the trajectory of my career is going. Maybe.
Do it.
But I am, I'm fortunate to be further than a lot of people at this point, and I still have a long way to go. But again, I'm very optimistic about it. I realize that there will be failures throughout the next handful of years. There will be times that I write a promotion that will completely flop. That's okay. I'm not even saying that for the people listening. I'm saying that out loud for myself.
Right on. Right on. I mean, you got to be okay with it and learn from the experience and move forward.
Absolutely.
So I know you've mentioned mindset a couple of different times, and I think that's so key. What kind of maybe tips can you give the folks who are watching this interview right now who are maybe thinking about freelancing or just starting out? Like what kind of tips and tricks and ideas can you give them to help them move forward?
I'm going to echo something that I said at the beginning pertaining to Facebook copywriters. There's a lot of overwhelm when you first get into copywriting, because you look around and you see all these other people that are your perceived competition. And, whether that's digital marketing or you're a Facebook ad person or you do, Google ads or whatever you do, photography, whatever it is, you start a cleaning company, I don't know. There's all this competition out there. And it's really hard to look at all of that and think, oh yeah, I can do it too. But you gotta let that overwhelm drive you, A, and B, you have to recognize that if there's 1,000 other copywriters out there, there's not actually 1,000 other copywriters out there. Maybe 900 of them are Facebook copywriters that just have on their Facebook profile, it says, oh, I write copy. That doesn't mean they have paying clients. That doesn't mean they're getting results for their clients. That doesn't mean they've even ever actually had a project. Because anybody can go on and say they are whatever, right? It's just a claim of who you are. Until you have that proof behind your name, then that's another thing. So if you really are if you are really determined to be a freelancer, you need to make that first failure or win, whatever happens with your first client, doesn't matter. You just have to make that happen first. Because that first client will be more than what 90% of other people who call themselves whatever you are, copywriter, Facebook ads, whatever. You've already effectively done more than 90% of them by just getting your first client.
Right on. That's definitely, yeah. And I like what you said, that just because someone says that on their Facebook profile doesn't mean that's actually what they do, or that they have reports or case studies or anything to really back it up. So that's cool. Just kind of helping you not get psyched out about competition. And I think too, focusing on service, like that Mike said before, he's like, if you can just be a decent human being, you're already above a lot of the other people who serve in that industry, just by being a decent person and being honorable, and serving your clients well, and getting them the results that you said you would. And if you don't get those results, then trying to do your best to make it right. So I think that's part of it too. So tell me about maybe a tactic or a strategy that someone could use to get that first client. They're looking at it, they're like, okay, I think I can do this. How do I do it?
You got to get good at cold emailing, right? That is the absolute quickest way. Obviously, in the No Pants coaching program, it talks about building your lighthouse and how to get people coming to you. But it takes time, right? It just takes time. So if you want to be as effective as possible, you have to get good at cold emailing, and I still consider this cold emailing, but responding to job posts, right? I still consider that cold because there's no warmth of interaction between you and the person on the other end. So search for those postings of people. You can go into Upwork, right, to get some results behind your name, to get just some momentum going. You can use Upwork. You can leverage relationships. But if you can get good at cold emailing, you can reach out to your dream clients right away and not have to take bottom of the barrel jobs that people on Upwork want to offer. For example, I used responding to a post to land a client who was my biggest client and was also a New York Times bestseller and was on Shark Tank.
Very cool. So did you use the cold emailing templates that are found in Fast Client Getting?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
So Mike's Fast Client Getting workshop is awesome. I love his templates, but I have a very unique style to my cold outreach, and anybody can use it. And basically what it's all based around is just being heavily personality driven, right? Because a lot of people, when they cold email, it sounds very robotic. It sounds very corporate, and people don't respond to that, right? Because business owners get 1,000 emails a day from people trying to sell them stuff. When you are just personable in your emails and you let your own actual voice and natural voice shine through, it creates a conversation without actually having that conversation. So when I sent that email to the client, which I was just about to name them, but unfortunately for privacy reasons, I can't. When I was reaching out to him, my email was, it was probably over 1,000 words.
No way.
Yeah, it was long.
Wow.
It was really long. Definitely a long form email. But I knew that I was going to have a lot of competition reaching for that job. Right? I knew that I needed to separate myself, and I didn't have the experience that a lot of these other people reaching out to him would, because this was a golden opportunity for this job. It already led into another job with him. And I knew that I needed to be better than every other person that sent that cold email. And so I made it long. I made it personable. I made every line interesting for him to read. I showed value. Here's a tactic, right? Here's a tactic for your cold emails. If you can take a negative about yourself and turn it into a positive, then you're going to be better than 99.9% of other people who cold email. So for example, what I did was I was very upfront, and I said, look, I'm not going to have as much experience as most people that are emailing you about this role, about this, composition, this job. But that's good for you, because I'm sure you have a very unique voice. I'm sure that you have a very unique process. And all of these other people that have more experience than me, they may have bad tendencies. They may have things that you have to untrain them on to get your specific voice. I don't have that, right? I'm newer. So I'm ready to learn from you. I'm ready to take notes. I'm ready for your, harshest and most critical feedback, because I want it, because I'm hungry to provide results for you. In fact, the subject line that I sent in response to this posting was, I'm chomping at the bit to provide you results.
That's awesome. That's such a great subject line. I'm sure he got a real good kick out of that.
Yeah, but he responded the next day, right? And how could you, as a business owner who's somebody searching for a copywriter, how could you pass up that subject line because it's totally customer oriented. And if you can make every single word of whatever you write in your cold email customer oriented, you're going to get an incredible response rate.
Very awesome. Most definitely. And I think that goes for a lot of things too, like even just communications and hopping on a phone call with someone. Just make sure that you stay service focused and customer focused. And I think it's so easy for a lot of freelancers to kind of get, you know, in that mindset of, oh, well, this is what I do and this is who I serve. But if you're talking about the client and if you have that client empathy up front, then they're going to tune in and they're going to hear that. They're going to hear you talking to them over you talking about yourself. So that's really awesome. And I'm so glad that you shared that because that's a really good strategy for a lot of people that they could use. So I know that it is, you know, getting a little later in the afternoon and you've been amazing to share this much time and this much space with us. Can you tell me, do you have like any really cool parting words of wisdom or anything fun for the viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. For one thing, to touch back on what I was saying and, you know, what you commented on, there was a old school negotiator, like A-list negotiator, and Jim Camp was his name. And he said, you're always safe in the other person's world, right? That goes back to if you can talk to the client to what the client wants to hear, then you're always safe. But as far as general advice or parting words, you just got to go out there and do it, right? Nothing's going to change if you don't change it. And like I said earlier, I'm the type of person that was scared to put myself out there. And, you know, luckily I had that support system to push me. But being scared of going out there and doing what you want to do is just an excuse. And if you can have somebody, you know, find somebody who can push you through that mentality.
It's definitely. Yeah, you're never going to know unless you try, right? The worst anyone can ever do is say no. And that's just a 2-letter word. It's not even that scary.
Yep.
So if someone is looking at jumping into freelancing, or maybe they need to structure some of their freelancing, they've been doing it for a while, maybe part-time, and they're really wanting to go full-time. What would you say about the No Pants project if they're considering that?
I would say it's easily a no-brainer for anybody, whether you're somebody who has never even, you know, you've wanted to go freelance, but you never really considered it, all the way up to if you are currently freelancing or, you know, like I was freelancing and you want to you need to get better processes or better methods of getting clients or better methods of attracting clients. All of that is within, you know, the No Pants coaching program. And I don't know if you're serious about freelancing, I don't honestly know how you could pass it up.
I don't either. I'm with you. It's made the hugest difference in my life for sure. So Jerrod, thank you for your time. You've been awesome to interview. It's been so fun hanging out with you. And I really feel like anyone who listens to this interview is going to get so much value and so much truth from some of the stuff that you've said. So thank you for those insights and for kind of sharing your journey and your story with us.
Thank you for having me, Dee.
Most definitely. And maybe I'll see you in the Facebook group later.
Sounds good.